Okay, so please go to your chapter 14. Remember, last week we mentioned what's our purpose? Christine, what's our purpose? We want to prepare a statement of cash flow, right? 现金流量表. So all the things we want to get is cash, cash, and cash. So what's the reason your company got the cash? What's the reason your company paid the cash? Cash inflow, cash outflow, okay? So we've mentioned the concept from last week already. Today we continue to tell you how to prepare statement of cash flow, okay? So it's about the skill, how to do that. So on your slide, page 28, remember, when we prepare statement of cash flow, we want to know the cash flow from three activities: from operating activity, from investing activity, and from financing activities. So the most difficult and important activity is operating activity. So how to find out our cash flow from operating activities? This is the key point from this chapter. The other two activities, not very important. Why? Because the other two, you just think about it with your instinct. So you just think about it directly, you know the answers. So the difficult part is operating, because operating activities, you need the skills, the logic to know how to get the cash flows. Okay? So in order to get the cash flow from operating activities, we have two methods: direct method and indirect method. Okay? So we will tell you the right method, because the right method is the logic. Based on the logic from the right method, we will get the number from indirect method, the second one. So the second one, we will just use the formula. So how to get the formula from first method's logic, okay? So the right method, what does it mean, the right method? The right method, you can go to your slide on page 30. The right method means based on each item we already have on statement of comprehensive income. For example, sales revenue, cost of goods sold, interest expense, income tax. Based on each item we already have, then we do some adjustment to note each item's cash flows. So based on sales revenue, we do some adjustment. We want to know how much money we got from customers. So that's cash inflows. Based on cost of goods sold, we do some adjustment. We want to know the cash outflow, means how much money we paid to suppliers already. Okay? So on. So the right method means based on each item, we have to do adjustment from each item and get cash flows. After you know cash flow from each item, we just add that together. Then you will note the cash flow from operating activities. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. And last week, before we do that, last week I asked you to do step one, right? So what's the step one? Go to your slide on page 45. Page 45. Because we want to know the cash flow from each item, right? Remember, everything about cash, cash, and the cash. So you will find out some items on statement of comprehensive income. Some items is nothing about the cash, okay? So remember, what kind of items is nothing about the cash. So we have to exclude these items first, okay? For example, payday expense, right? Payday expense, nothing about cash. Payday expense, we use it to describe. When we use PP, your PP's value decrease. Okay, so bad debt expense, nothing about the cash, only tell you your PP's value decrease because of your usage. Okay, what else? Oh, sorry, bad debt expense not about PP. Bad debt expense is about the risk maybe you will get when someone owe you money, customer owe you money. So bad debt expense is about receivables. Tell you your risk. What kind of risk? Customer won't pay the money back. Okay, sorry about that. So bad debt expense is about what? It's about the risk. What kind of risk? Customer won't pay you money back. Okay, so that's bad debt expense. Tell you about the risk, so nothing about the cash. How about depreciation expense? Tell you about the PPE. So depreciation expense tell you your PPE's value decrease. Okay, after used. So did you find out bad debt expense? Nothing about cash. Depreciation expense, nothing about the cash. So we have to exclude non-cash items, right? Because don't forget, our purpose is to find out cash. Then what else? Sales of planned assets. Remember, sales of planned assets is about investing activities. Sales of planned assets is about investing activities. So it's non-operating activity. Okay, because it is investing activity. Our purpose, we want to find out cash flow from operating. So that's right. Non-operating, we have to exclude it. So exclude non-cash, exclude non-operating. The other items, we have to try to figure out their cash. Remember? So that's a step one. So what's a step one? Non-related items, exclude it first. Okay, so that's why you can go to your note on page 15. Page 15. You can compare page 14 with 15. Okay, so when you compare 14 with 15, 14 is our statement of comprehensive income, right? So we are going to use that information we already have. We try to figure out each item's cash flow, right? So don't forget, what's the step one? Step one, exclude non-cash, non-operating items. So step one is what? Exclude non-cash and non-operating items. Okay? After we exclude non-cash, non-operating items, means what? You don't need to care about that. So what kind of items? Depreciation expense, right? Depreciation expense is non-cash. Then Disposal of planned asset, remember, there's non-operation. Okay, after that, the other items, we had to figure out their cash flows. Okay, any questions? So the other items. So step 2, the other items, we had to figure out their cash flows. So the other items, how many? We have sales revenue, we have cost of goods sold, we have rent expense, we have salaries and wages expense, we have interest expense, we have income tax expense. So did you find out for these 6 items, we try to figure out their cash flows. Okay, so sales revenue means what? We try to find out how much money we can get from customers. So based on this number, sales revenue, we try to figure out our cash inflows, right? For cost of goods sold, we try to figure out our cash outflows. For rent expense, salaries and wages expense, we try to figure out still cash outflows. For interest expense, yeah, we try to figure out our cash outflows. For income tax expense, we try to figure out our cash outflows. Okay, so this is the rate method 直接法. What does it mean? Based on each item, we try to figure out cash inflows. Based on each item, we try to figure out their cash outflows. Okay, any questions? But remember, one number cannot help you to find out cash flows. Only one number cannot help you to find out cash flows, right? So you need what? You need their friends. You need their friends. So could you tell me sales revenue, which account is sales revenue's friend? Okay, so we try to find out their friends. So on your note, page 15, we try to find out their friends, right? So have you done this already from last week? So page 15 here is what? 6 items. In order to find out cash flows, we should do what? We need their friends' help. So sales revenue's friends. So we need their best friend's help. So need their friends' help. Okay, so who's their friend? Sales revenue have relationship with accounts receivable, right? Okay. Cost of goods sold have a relationship with inventory and accounts payable. Rent expense have relationship with prepaid rent. Salaries and wages expense have a relationship with salary and wages payable. Interest expense has a relationship with interest payable. Income tax expense have a relationship with income tax payable. Okay, so we find out their friends. So right now we need their friends to help us get the cash flows. So far, any questions? So after step one, right now we try to find out cash flows. You should know who's their friends. Okay, who's their friends? So based on sales revenue, how much? $507,000. We need accounts receivables help, right? So you should go to where? Balance sheet. Balance sheet. So go to your balance sheet on page 13. Page 13, you could find out accounts receivables. Where? Here. So for your first item, sales revenue, we need a help from accounts receivable. So where you can find out accounts receivable? On page 13. So did you find out a sales revenue friend? Yes, here, right? Then we give it 2 years number. December 31st, 2024. December 31st, 2025. We want to get the number for 2025, right? So do you know what does that mean? It means 2024, this number is the beginning number for 2025, right? So this is beginning balance. Beginning balance for 2025.起初余额 Okay. So how about December 31st, 2025, the last day's number, right? So here told you ending balance.期末余额 Okay. So I got beginning balance. I got ending balance. So what's my beginning balance? $30,000. Beginning balance, $30,000. What's my ending balance? $20,000. Okay? You need these two numbers help. Okay? So based on the number we got already, right now, we try to find out our cash flows. So please go to your note on page 16. Page 16, did you find out? The first item we want to figure out is sales revenue, $507,000. Okay? So based on the first item we have is what? Sales revenue, $507,000. Then we need your good friend's help, accounts receivable. Okay? Accounting, you want to do the math. The best tool is T account. T account, T 字账 is help you to get accounting numbers. Okay, so I use T account. Okay, so T account, I need my good friend's help. Who's your good friend? Accounts receivable. Okay, so sales revenue and my friend accounts receivable. You need your friend's help from beginning and ending. So what's the beginning? $30,000. Don't forget, accounts receivable is your assets, right? So increase on debit side. So you have beginning balance $30,000. You have ending balance $20,000. Any questions so far? $30,000, $20,000. You need these two numbers help. So I just write down beginning balance, ending balance. That's it. Any questions? So based on the number I already have, then how I find out cash flow? Okay. Accounts receivable beginning ending balance. You got the help from your page 13, right? Balance sheet. Then do you know what's the reason when your accounts receivable increase? What's the reason when your accounts receivable decrease? Remember that? Accounts receivable increase when you sell the product to customer, you earn the revenue, but customer didn't pay you money yet, right? So you got accounts receivable, right? Okay. So what's the reason make your accounts receivable increase? What's the reason when your accounts receivable increase? When sold products on the account, right? On the account means they didn't pay the money. So what's a debit? What's a credit? Debit, accounts receivable. Credit, sales revenue. Okay. So what's the reason when your accounts receivable increase? When sell the product on the account on credit. What's the reason when your accounts receivable decrease? When customer pay the money back, right? So they don't owe you money anymore. So what's the reason when your accounts receivable decrease? Customer pay the money back. So what's a debit? What's a credit? Debit, cash. Credit, accounts receivable. Okay. So accounts receivable increase, accounts receivable decrease. Could you tell me which number you know? Sales revenue, right? Sales revenue, we assume you sell the product on the account. So sales revenue increase, accounts receivable increase. So how much for this number? Sales revenue, $507,000. So I know this number is my sales revenue. How much? $507,000. Based on this, do you know how much money you got? No problem, right? You know all the numbers except this one. So what does it mean, this one? Accounts receivable decrease when you got the cash. So this number told you your cash inflow, how much money you got from customers. Okay, so could you do your math? You can do your math, right? $30,000 plus $507,000 minus the question mark. You got ending balance $20,000, right? So based on this, how to get a number? $30,000 plus $507,000 minus question mark. You got ending balance. $30,000 plus $507,000 minus question mark. You got ending balance. So based on this, could you get the question mark by yourself? So how much money you got from customers? So this is the logic we have. Okay, then this is how we find out our cash flows. So do you know how much? Phoebe, how much? How much you got from customers? Okay, you can get your number. I don't want to tell you the answer. So do your math. Let's for your elementary school. Okay, so this is the first one. You got your cash inflows. How much money you got? This is our answer. Any questions? So how much? Do you know how to get it? Yeah, okay. So the answer will be $517,000. This is your cash inflows. So means what? The cash you got from customers. Okay? If you understand the logic, we use the logic for each items. No problem? So let's look at the second one. So what's the second one we have? Second one, based on cost of goods sold, the number $150,000. Okay? So on your note page, page 14, right? Second item is based on cost of goods sold. We want to know our cash outflows. So second item, cost of goods sold. So based on second item, cost of goods sold. Okay, so this is our second item. On your note, page 17. So based on cost of goods sold, $150,000. We want to figure out our cash outflow, right? So whose cost of goods sold friends? Remember, whose cost of goods sold friends? In case you forgot, you know, when you buy inventory, on credit on the account. Buy inventory on the account. What's a debit? What's a credit? Debit, inventory. Credit, accounts payable, right? Then later, when you sell the inventory, okay? So you have what? Remember, we use perpetual. So second journal entry will be cost of goods sold and inventory. So did you find out? Sell the inventory using perpetual 永续盘存制. So means what? You need to prepare two journal entries, right? Second journal entry is cost of goods sold, inventory. You sell the inventory, inventory decrease. At the same time, your expense increase, right? So did you find out? Based on cost of goods sold, you need inventory, the friend. Also, you need accounts payable, the friend. So you need two friends to help you. So what are these two friends? First is inventory, your first friend. Second is accounts payable, your second friend. Okay. So based on first friend inventory, second friend accounts payable, we try to find out our cash outflows. Okay, so I need our first friend, what? Inventory. So inventory is your asset, right? So please go to your balance sheet, find out inventory. So which page? Page 13, right? Page 13 told you inventory. So what's the number for inventory? Inventory, we have beginning balance, ending balance. So did you find out your first friend? Beginning balance, ending balance. Okay? So based on beginning balance, ending balance, you just write down the number on your T account for your first friend. So your first friend on your page 17, you find out you have beginning balance $10,000. You have ending balance $15,000. Any questions? Okay. So for inventory, I find out beginning ending balance. Then you can do your math. So what's your math? You should understand what does it mean. So what does it mean when your inventory increase? Do you know what's the reason when your inventory increase? You buy the inventory, right? So inventory increase, what's the reason? You buy inventory. But usually we buy inventory on the count. Means you didn't pay the money, okay? So what's a debit, credit? Inventory. Credit, accounts payable. Okay? So may your inventory increase when you buy inventory on account. What's the reason may your inventory decrease when you sell the inventory, right? So when you sell the inventory, your inventory will be decreased. So inventory decrease. Why? When you sell the inventory. Okay, so when you sell the inventory, debit what? Cost of goods sold. Credit what? Inventory decrease. So for increase, decrease, which number we have? Don't forget, you have a cost of goods sold, right? I know cost of goods sold, which make our inventory decrease same amount. So I know cost of goods sold, how much? $150,000. So your inventory decrease cost of goods sold $150,000. Okay, so based on this, do you know how to do the math for the question mark? So what does it mean, the question mark? The question mark means your accounts payable, how much money you still owed the suppliers. So do you know how to get it? $10,000 plus question mark minus $150,000. You got ending balance, right? Okay. So how to get the question mark? $10,000 $10,000 plus question mark minus $150,000. You got ending balance, right? Okay. So after you do the math, question mark, how much? $10,000 plus question mark minus $150,000. You got ending balance. So what's the question mark? How much? How much it is? $155,000. Okay. So I know the question mark is what? $155,000. Okay. So what does it mean? $155,000 for the question mark. You buy the inventory on the account on credit, so you still owe surprise money. Okay. So $155,000 means what? Buy inventories, but didn't pay the money yet. So this also means what? Accounts payable. You still owed. Surprise money. Okay. So this one is more complicated than others. Others is more simple, but this one more complicated because this one you need two friends' help. Others you just need one friend's help, but this one you need two friends' help. So first friend inventory. Right now you need second friend's help. What's that? Accounts payable, because so far you just understand $155,000 accounts payable. We didn't know cash outflow yet. Okay, so right now we need second friend's help. What's that? Accounts payable. So did you find out? We go to our second friend, accounts payable. So accounts payable is our second friend, your second friend. Accounts payable. Okay. So still, accounts payable is your liability. We need to know beginning number, ending number from where? From your balance sheet, right? So please go to your page 13 again. Page 13. Here told you accounts payable, right? So where? Here. Accounts payable. Beginning number, ending number. So what's the beginning number? $12,000. What's the ending number? $28,000. Okay. So this is how I find out beginning number, ending number. So accounts payable, beginning number, $12,000. Ending number, $28,000. Okay. Any questions? So since you find out your second friend's help, okay, then we can get our cash flows. So how to get our cash flows? Remember, from your best friend, first friend told you, accounts payable increase. Okay, so what's the reason made your accounts payable increase? This is the reason made your accounts payable increase. Why accounts payable increase? You didn't pay the money. So when you buy inventory on the account, right? Okay. So debit what? Debit inventory. Credit accounts payable. So what's the reason when your accounts payable decrease? When you pay the cash to supplier. Okay? So what's the reason when your accounts payable increase? Buy inventory on the account, you didn't pay the cash. What's the reason when your accounts payable decrease? Liability decrease. Of course, you pay the cash, so your liability decrease. Okay, so for these two, which one you have the number already? Accounts payable increase. You got the number from where? From your first friend, right? Your first friend told you you buy inventory but didn't pay the cash, $155,000. So where you got the number from your first friend told you? Okay, so your first friend told you how much? $155,000. Okay, you got this number from your first friend, $155,000. So right now, do you know how much money you pay to suppliers? No problem, right? So how much money you pay to suppliers? Beginning $12,000 plus $155,000 minus question mark. You got ending balance $28,000, right? So $12,000 plus $155,000 minus question mark. You got ending balance. Okay? So could you tell me what's the question mark? How much? What's the question mark? $139,000, right? Okay. So I know the question mark how much? $139,000 from this question mark. So means what? The cash paid to suppliers. So this is what we want, right? Cash paid. So this is our cash outflows. Okay? Any questions? So did you find out we use the same logic for every items? But this one is more complicated because cost of goods sold, you need two friends help. Remember, cost of goods sold, you need two friends help to get your cash outflow. Other items, you just need one friend's help. Okay? So any questions? If you have any question, please ask me. Otherwise, let's take a break. we will continue the other items.